Hello there, race fans, and welcome to round 8 of the Ottercar AI Racing series. We are officially getting pretty late into the season now. We're two-thirds of the way done, so the standings are still actually very much in contention, and at the looks of things, it's still anyone's game. I believe it's actually a three-way tie for first in the standings right now. But regardless, there's not a lot of time left for drivers to get their names on the record books here. So I would imagine that tonight things are going to start getting very spicy as drivers start making moves for the championship title. That said, we are here at the Worldwide Technology Speedway, which originally was called the Gateway Motorsports Park, hence why a lot of people to this day still refer to it as Gateway, because really, who calls this Worldwide Technology Raceway? That's like the people that call Laguna Seca WeatherTech Raceway. No one does that. No one cares about the sponsor corporation that owns a racetrack. It's Gateway. It always will be Gateway. But before I get into too much of a tirade, how about we take a quick look at our starting grid presented by Hybrid Development Team and the Rainbow Society. Starting out on the pole here tonight for Blazed and Drunk Drivers in that number 38 machine is Madcap, with Maroon for the Rainbow Society Team 2 in the number 25 to his outside. Third place to our two-time winner and nearly three-time winner, Peak Comedy in the 717 machine. Fourth place to Octave in the number 11 machine. Fifth place to Valnar in the 776 for Blazed and Drunk Drivers. Sixth to the number 7 machine of Frosty Film, who was the first ever winner in the Ottercar AI Racing series. Seventh place to Piper in the number 8, which might be his best start in the series. Eighth place to Sarah Saviron in the 117. Ninth place to the mystery man himself, Drop Table Roster in the number 369 machine. 10th place to Dragon Space Queen in the number 37 machine. 11th to Halo in the 0 in its best start in the series so far, I believe. 12th place to Lake in the number 330, rounding out our first 6 rows. Behind them, in the 13th position, the 69 machine of Bendover. 14th to August in the number 21. 15th to Thirds in the number 3. 16th to Humongous in the 621 entry for the Rainbow Society Team 2. 17th to Stick in the 53. 18th to Med in the number 1. 19th to Pav in the 12 for the Rainbow Society Team 1. 20th to Zoe in the 666 entry. 21st to Arvo Soberov in the 429. 22nd to in the 420. 23rd to Bloody Wolf. And finally, rounding out our field tonight, back in the 24th position in the number 217, Felix Mare. That is your starting lineup for this 40-lap event. Due to the track's length, caution lengths have been reduced, and the initial pace lap also only 1 lap. So we are going green flag racing here at the Gateway Motorsports Park, now Worldwide Technology Raceway, but you didn't hear it from me. The outside line off to a pretty solid run. Maroon drifting up to the high side there and almost immediately getting sent 3 wide by Octave. Octave's going to make contact. Everyone manages to keep it going. That could have been a very hairy start for these drivers, making contact right off the bat up in the front of this field. It does look like the inside line is the place to be. It looks like we might have had almost 4 wide back in the back for a second there. And trouble. A big impact for a lot of drivers there. I'm not quite sure who all was involved. But looks like Halo in the number 0 machine might have had a bit of trouble there. We're gonna have to take a look back and see what happened there. There seemed to be a little bit of technical difficulties with the cameras when that caution came out. Definitely a bit of damage on that zero machine though, so let's take a quick look back and see if we can't figure out what happened here. It looks like the truck's not entirely sure what happened either. Currently taking a look back at Oh You Know in the 420 machine. Oh You Know getting a bit of damage, but Oh You Know is definitely not the cause of that crash, so I'm not entirely sure why the truck queued it up for us. Let's take a look at Halo during this wreck and see if Halo was maybe the one involved. Oh, yep, there it is. Sarah Saviron and Lake were the initial contacts there. And then there was just a bit of a domino effect following that, it looks like. So it does look like the initial incident was for Sarah Saviron and that number 117 machine. Big impact for the number 0. Everyone behind them, just not a whole lot they could do. Back up in the front, Peak Comedy, now your race leader after that caution. We are going to line them up 2 by 2 now, though. Due to the shorter lap count of this race, cautions have been reduced in length. So we are going to go ahead and line them up 2 by 2 right now instead of finishing the full 5 pace laps that are traditionally done under caution. Pete Comedy, our current race leader, followed by Madcap to his outside, starting off the new front row. Then followed by Madcap's teammate Valnar in the number 776 machine, and then Octave in the 11, rounding out your top 4 for this restart. 4 laps now in the book now. The pace car just about to pull off the field here, and we are green flag racing in Illinois yet again. Pretty solid run for these drivers heading down the front stretch, everyone keeping it mostly in line going into the corner. A little bit of shuffling about for the most part though. We're all still 2 by 2 here. A little bit of movement back in the back of the field as drivers try and vie for any sort of position they can get. Dragon Space Queen taking it 3 wide for the 5th position. And another 3 wide situation there between Piper and Drop Table Roster. Humongous going to fill the gap. Everyone does navigate it cleanly though. That said, there's going into this next corner, there still could be a bit of trouble as drivers still all over the place, especially back in the back of the pack here. The preferred racing line traditionally is always around the inside of the track, but it looks like these drivers are really willing to use any surface that they can get their tires on that isn't grass or the apron. Bit of a shove from Felix Murray into the back of Med. Med getting pushed up the track just a little bit there, but everyone's still keeping their cars pointed forward, which sometimes has been a very impressive feat in this league. You'd be surprised. August now returning the favor to do what Felix Murray did to Med and giving Felix a bit of a bump there and pushing him out of the way. This battle currently for the 15th position back here. This pack of 5 a little bit separated out from the field now. Further back up in the front, Madcap and Space Dragon Queen side by side down the front stretch, currently battling out for the 5th position. Currently, I believe that the Blazed and Drunk drivers are leading the Ottercar Championship standings for the Team Championship pretty handily, and I would imagine that they're not going to try too hard to battle with each other this race between Madcap, Velnar, and Space Dragon Queen all within the top 5 right now. This could very firmly secure their place in the championship standings if everything goes well for them. But this is a 40-lap race. We're only a third of the way done with it, so there's still plenty of times for things to get shaken up for our race leaders here tonight. A bit of drafting going on down these front straights. This track is large enough that that is definitely something that comes into effect. The drivers pretty much are standing on the throttle down the front stretches. You do have to break through turns 1 and 2 as it is an asymmetrical oval, so turns 1 and 2 are tighter than 3 and 4 as Madcap, our new race leader in that number 38 machine, getting around Peak Comedy on the outside, and it looks like Octave is going to follow him through on that pass. Madcap fairly consistently being up in the front, but he has yet to get a win. Octave, on the other hand, in that number 11 machine, now our new race leader as well, he is going to be scored as the leader for this lap. Octave was our previous race winner back at the Langley Speedway, so Octave could be looking to make it 2 for 2 here. Peak Comedy cycled all the way back to the 5th position now. Our top 5 now, Octave in the 11, Madcap, Maroon in the 25, now back up into the podium in the number 25 machine, followed by Space Dragon Queen, and then Peak Comedy. So things are definitely a bit spicy up in our top 5 right here. Drivers that both traditionally have been battling up in the front fairly consistently, and drivers that are new to being in the top 5, so we will have to see how our drivers that have already scored wins this season end up treating those that haven't. Things a little bit single-filed out here as Madcap gets cycled back a few spots from drifting up to the outside. And further back in the field, everything is just a little bit congested. Our top 6 kind of breaking away, and now the second pack led by Drop Table Roster in the 369 machine for 7th position, followed all the way on back. Now, kind of their own little race going on. They will have to catch up to our race leaders in the next 25 laps or so. But with the way they're battling each other here, I would not be surprised if they don't actually catch up all that much. Third's now going for a pass down on the inside, followed by Frosty Film as Drop Table Roster drifts up to the high line. Valnar in that 776 machine there as well. Valnar originally was up in the front, now Valnar has drifted back a bit. Lots of lead changes going on up in the front here as we almost had a 3-wide situation. These 6 drivers battling for the lead and completely broken away from the rest of the pack. Piper now in that 4th position. Piper originally was stuck back in 6th as we're going to go 3 wide down the front stretch. Maroon still holding on that lead. Now 3 wide yet again. Piper going to probably pretty wisely back out of that situation in that number 8 machine. He saw what happened on that restart where the number 117 pushed it 3 wide and got shoved up into the inside wall, and the caution flag is out. Trouble out on the speedway for the number 12 machine. Let's see if we can't take a look back and see what happened. Pav was stopped on the front or back straightaway there. I'm not quite sure what happened to him. Looking at Pav in the number 12 machine here. Pav, oh, big impact for that number 12 and taken out by his own teammate of Arvo Soberov in the 429 machine. You could hear that engine expire in the number 12 machine from that impact. That was pretty nasty for the driver of that number 12 machine. It looks like Arvo just overdrove the corner a little bit and came up into the 12. Not a whole much that Pav could do there. Let's take a look on board from his perspective in this number 12 machine. There we are. Riding on board with the number 12 of Pav. Going into turn 3. It actually looks like he might have turned down on Arvo a little bit. Arvo able to keep going, but that engine is straight up gone on the number 12 of Pav here tonight. That said, shorten cautions. We are back 2x2 yet again. Maroon, our new race leader, with Dragon Space Queen to their outside. The 25 and the 37. As it does look like Oh You Know is going to get the lucky dog, but because of the shortened caution lengths, Oh You Know probably not going to make it back to the field by the time the green flag comes out, but Oh You Know at least will be scored a lap higher now. I believe Oh You Know now will be 1 lap down. Green flag back up in the air. Drivers roaring down the front straightaway. Maroon on the inside line in the 25, getting a pretty solid jump. Octave following in his tracks. It does look like the outside line has been struggling a little bit going into turn 1 on these restarts, but for the most part, everyone is keeping it nice and orderly. Peak Comedy looking to maybe push it 3 wide. Bit of a checkup there for the 3 of Thirds, as Thirds nearly rear-ended him after he cut her off. Thirds, a driver we have not seen really in contention at all tonight in that number 3 machine. Thirds now currently up 11 positions from where she started. She was all the way back below the top 10 at the start of this race, and Thirds is now quite suddenly up in the 5th position. So that came out of nowhere, race fans. We will have to keep an eye on that number 3 machine and see what she has in store for these drivers, because Thirds has not been having the best season so far, so this is actually a very impressive run coming out of her. That said, she has to worry about Valnar and Peak Comedy hot on her heels. 2 drivers, well, more 1 driver that is definitely an intimidating sight for really anyone in the field to be behind. Peak Comedy has proven himself to be very aggressive and to do whatever it takes to get the win, even if it means taking himself out. And speaking of taking people out, right behind that 717 is August in the number 21. Peak Comedy and August were battling it out for the lead at Martinsville, and with about 10 laps to go, Peak Comedy in 2nd place took out August in 1st place, and both drivers ended up finishing in last place as the incident totaled both of their cars. So definitely going to have to keep an eye on these two and see if August in that number 21 machine sets aside his rivalry with Piper in the 8 just behind him and maybe gives a bit of retaliation to the 717 driver. Another change for the lead though, Octave back out in front. Space Dragon Queen just behind him, battling for the 2nd position along with Maroon. Every one of these drivers have led a lap this season, and Octave actually is the only one of these 4 to have gotten a win. So we will have to see if he manages to make it 2 wins in a row or not. That said, Space Dragon Queen is our new race leader with 18 laps to go in that number 37 machine, followed closely behind by Octave in the 11th. Oh, scratch that. The caution flag is out yet again. Trouble back in the back. I'm not quite sure what happened there, so let's see if we can get the camera crews to spool up what brought out our 3rd caution of the evening. It's looking like Felix Marais, Halo, Sarah Saviron, Arvo Soborov, and Bloody Wolf were all involved according to the timing and scoring sheet. Currently looking at the 217 of Felix Marais. Oh my. Massive impact for the 429 machine. Looks like someone just turned into him. There was not much that the 429 machine could do there. Looking at the 429 machine of Arvo Soberov here. Arvo on the inside line, 3 wide with Frosty Film and Felix Moret. Frosty overcorrects and just absolutely demolishes that 429 machine. That's now 2 drivers of the Rainbow Society Team 1 that have been completely taken out of the race. Let's see if we can get an onboard view with the driver of the 429 entry here. Looking on board with the helmet cam of Arvo Soberov in the 429 coming out of turn 4. There's just nothing that driver could have done about that. He did not even know it was coming. One impact for the driver of the 429 machine. That said, like of course, as it's been on race, shortened cautions, so we are already 2x2 yet again. Space Dragon Queen, currently our race leader with Octave to her outside, then her teammate Madcap just behind her, and Maroon in the 25, rounding out our top 4. And who is that in 5th place? None other than the last surviving member of the Rainbow Society Team 1. Thirds in the number 3 machine, currently scored in the 6th position. 15 laps will be the distance once we cross the line this time by. We are Green Flag Racing yet again here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Dragon Space Queen off to a pretty solid start. Like I've said, it does seem like the inside line generally gets the better jump going into turn 1. Turn 1 and 2, of course, both much narrower than turns 3 and 4. This is an egg-shaped oval that is asymmetrical, so 1 and 2 take very different driving styles than 3 and 4. 3 and 4, I would not be surprised if these drivers are managing to maybe even stay full throttle through, but 1 and 2 you definitely have to brake going into, and that's where we see a lot of the passing happening, is in this braking zone. 3 wide down the front stretch, Octave, Drop Table Roster, and Madcap. Drop Table Roster now in the 2nd position and looking to try and gain on our leader. Drop Table Roster up 7 positions. Dragon Space Queen up 9. This field has been completely turned upside down since the start of this race. And speaking of drivers making gains, Zoe in the 666 entry, currently in the 7th position, up 13 spots from where she qualified. So Zoe currently our biggest mover as we have 13 laps to go in this race. And another 3 wide down the front stretch. Maroon almost pushing it 4 wide with Bluety Wolf there, but 3x3. A little bit of wall contact for Zoe, going to bunch everyone up, but for the most part everyone is still keeping it going. Zoe in the 10th position, now 11th. We're going almost 4 wide down the backstretch though. Oh, trouble. And we just got a repeat of what happened to Arvo Soberov there. In now to the 420 machine of Oh You Know. Probably looking a bit how the back of his car looks right about now in that number 420 machine. Let's see if we can't take a look back and get a better view of that incident, though, for Oh You Know in the 420 machine. That's not Oh You Know. There we go. There's Oh You Know. There's our man. 4 wide, Oh You Know, Peak Comedy, Octave. And it really just was the exact same incident that happened to Arvo earlier in this race. Peak Comedy swerved to overcorrect and just crashed into the car on the outside line. Let's see if we can't get an onboard view of what happened to Oh You Know here. In the number 420 machine, contact between him and Peak Comedy, just as unexpected as it was for Arvo. At least Arvo was able to roll back onto his lid, though. Oh, you know, stuck up here. That said, shorten cautions. We are lining them up 2 by 2 this time by, it looks like. The lights are off on the iRacing.com pace car. Dragon Space Queen currently scored as our race leader. Does look like Sarah Seviron will be getting the wave around this time by. In that number 117 machine, she will be put back on the, I want to say, okay, she's 9 laps down, so she's not going to be put back on the lead lap from that. That said, we will be 9 to go when the pace car pulls off and we cross the line. Space Dragon Queen still our race leader, but drop table roster August and Piper suddenly in our top 5. Where they all came from, who knows, but we're going green flag racing for the 4th time here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Space Dragon Queen going to drift up a little bit to try and block that high line, and it does look like it was successful, creating a little bit of a gap between herself, Madcap, and Drop Table Roster. But we will have to see if she manages to maintain that speed down the back straightaway. Drafting, of course, playing a pretty big factor here at this track. Piper now moving to the inside line and looking to make a pass on Drop Table Roster, but Madcap going to check them both up. Madcap now diving it down to the lead. 3 wide between August, Valnar, and Drop Table Roster. Definitely a lot of chaos as drivers are trying to make moves in these final 8 laps. Drivers diving it down low or overdriving it and pushing way up high. And it does look like Madcap will be scored as our race leader this time across the line. Piper in that number 8 machine trying to make moves on Space Dragon Queen. It does look like he will be successful in it. Piper now actually our race leader. Unlike the previous leaders throughout this race, Piper, this will be actually his first time leading a lap. As long as he can maintain this position around the front stretch of the speedway coming out of turn 4, Piper has officially just led his first lap of the Ottercar AI racing season. 6 laps to go now here. It's still very much anyone's game. Piper, Madcap, Valnar, your top 3. Bloody Wolf, now actually our biggest mover of the race in that number 93 machine, up 16 positions from where he qualified in that Ferrari Red 93. August getting cycled back a pretty hefty amount. I'm not quite sure what happened to him, but it does look like he's going to be trying to push it 3 wide yet again. Bloody Wolf also having a bit of pressure behind from Space Dragon Queen. She was nudging him just a little bit down the front stretch. 0.14 of a difference between Piper and Madcap, and also Drop Table Roster now in contention for the win here. Drop Table Roster trying to make the moves on Madcap in the 369 machine, but it does look like he's going to back out of it. He was not entirely dedicated to that move. Now Madcap, our race leader, as Piper drifts up high. Drop Table Roster also going to make the pass down on the low side, and he might be trying to make the pass on Madcap as well. And he is. Drop table roster, our new race leader, but his teammate Valnar right behind, going to try and assist. It definitely, the drivers of Blaze and Drunk Driving, going to do everything that it takes to try and take home a win for their team. If I remember correctly, none of the drivers competing in the team championship have actually scored a win yet. It's exclusively been independent drivers. So a driver or a win for Madcap or Valnar could very much affect the shaping of our team championship. That said, Valnar's still going to have to try and make a pass on our race leader. Drop table roster in the 369. The big popsicle sticks are up in the air, though. 2 laps to go this time by. Bloody Wolf now in contention in the 4th position, passing Madcap for 3rd through this corner, it looks like. Bloody Wolf in 19 positions above where he qualified. Bloody Wolf now 20 positions up. Blue could be looking to make one of the biggest improvements of any driver in Ottercar racing history. The white flag is out. Still could be anyone's game. Piper following Blue through the corner, getting pushed up high. Humongous in the mix a bit too in that number 621 machine. Humongous battling for the 6th position with Maroon. That said, we go through turn 3. Drivers getting runs through the corner. The checkered flag is out. Drop table roster taking the win here at the Gateway Motorsports Park. What a run. I'll tell you what, race fans, I'm sure a victory out of drop table roster was not what anyone had on their bingo cards. Very impressive run by these drivers. No one gave up all the way to the finish, and literally every single lap looked like a completely different potential winner. And sure enough, it goes to drop table roster in that 369 machine. That said, let's take a look at our official race results as our drivers make their way back to pit lane. So, taking the win here tonight, somehow, I'm equally as shocked as y'all are, in the 369 machine, drop table roster, getting his first win of the season. Followed closely behind in the number 776, Valnar for Blazed and Drunk Drivers. 3rd place to Bloody Wolf in the 93, with the most improvement we've seen out of a driver in a single Ottercar race, up 20 positions from where he started. 4th place in his best ever finish this season, Piper in the number 8 machine. 5th place also to Blazed and Drunk Drivers, the number 38 of Madcap, making a pretty solid finish. 6th place to Humongous in the 621 machine. 7th to Maroon in the number 25. Followed by Med in the number 1 machine in what I believe is her best finish this season. 9th to Bendover in the 69. 10th to Octave in the 11th. 11th to Zoe in the 666 entry. 12th to Space Dragon Queen in the 37, also for Blazed and Drunk Drivers. 13th to Thirds in the number 3. 14th to August in the 21. 15th to Frosty Film in the 7. 16th to Peak Comedy in the 717. 17th to Stick in the 53. 18th to Sarah Seviron in the 117. 19th to Halo in the 0. 20th to Felix Marais in the 217. 21st to Oh You Know in the 420. 22nd to Lake in the 330. 23rd to Arvo Soberov in the 429 machine. And finally, rounding out the field here tonight, Pav in the number 12. Next week, we will be heading to the somewhat shorter but still definitely a high speed long track to the Iowa Raceway. So if you remember our race back from round 4 of the season, I want to say, back at the Rockingham Speedway, expect something similar to that next week. Same day, same time, Saturday at noon Eastern. I believe that is the 20th. So next race on the 20th of August at noon Eastern Standard Time. But that is all we got for y'all here tonight at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Thank you all for coming out, and I will see you all next time.